property clock, so I'm going to go from 6 to the 4 mark, and then I'll also go and do Brisbane and Perth as well. I think in this I'll actually include Hobart because I think it's an area that I do want to start to talk about because it is in its stabilisation phase. But first I'll start with Melbourne. Pretty simple. There's increasing demand pretty significantly. There's a big fight towards set and forget kind of properties, particularly those located close to town or village centres. They're doing very well. The inner suburbs, especially if you throw about a 12K ring around the city, they're becoming very tightly held. Stock levels are very low. There's also not only that too, but there's not very many bargains left on the market. Those are all pretty much gone. If you want a bargain, I mean, you really need to deal with someone who knows what they're talking about, like me or someone, or at least know someone with the right connections. It's very hard to find a good bargain if you don't know how to go looking for it, you don't know how valuations kind of work. There's very strong growth in some inner north, west and eastern suburbs. So a good example of that, Spotswood, Aberfeldy and Box Hill, some very strong results there. Spotswood, believe it or not, late last year, I bought for a client there, right across the road from a park for $850,000. That is valued at $1.2 million today. And the reason I bought it then was because it had an anomaly of a slight market downturn. And also there wasn't people looking in the market. That guy has made, I think, $350,000 in the space of about 9 months. I kid you not. And in the space of about 9 months. But anyway, there's some very strong results in those areas. And I was talking about these areas months ago, mind you. So again, for people that didn't want to listen, you've probably missed out on some of those opportunities. Mind you, in saying that, there's still some great opportunities within about the 10K ring or so, give or take a K or two. To give you an example, you can watch my Premier Properties videos. I mean, I've got properties within that range that still sub $1 million and perform exceptionally well over the long term. So, I mean, that's some of the opportunities in Melbourne at the moment. Very, very good in saying that. That's the Melbourne market, increasing demand. Let's get into Geelong. Geelong at the moment does have extremely heavy demand from investors in some very heavy investor pockets. Some markets have moved very significantly and others are just starting to pick up. There's a fight towards gentrifying regions close to the CBD. Rents have increased incredibly strongly over here. I mean, some areas by 15 to 20%. I'll give you an example. I had a client last year who bought in Newcomb for about, I think it was 510K or something like that. I think it was 510K from memory. Perfectly decent home, rented out, perfectly, good, street and everything like 500 meter square plus block. If you look at the average decent home in Newcomb now, they're renting for around $500 a week. It was renting for $400 back then, to give you an idea. That has picked up by like 15 to 20% in a single year. So some of these areas are incredibly strong in rental at the moment, and they've gone up like $180 to $100 a week. I kid you not, for the same house in like a year. There's a lot of city and interstate money flowing in here, and this is for both reasons of, should I say, interstate investors, people also moving down here to live because they can afford to still live there comfortably and have a family. So that's quite common in Geelong as well. And there's a large component of people moving to inner suburbs. So a fight for quality, as I said previously, that is very consistent across Geelong. It is going to continue. That will continue to stay the way it is. That's what's going on. Suburbs such as Corio, North Geelong and Thompson have had major sales. Corio especially, to give you an idea, I was picking up properties last year for literally in the mid to late 400s that were perfectly good to rent. I think one even was $445,000. It was a corner block in a very good part of the suburb. Now, that client of mine, I think, has made something like above $100,000 in like a year. I kid you not, easily above $100,000 in a single year he's probably made. So that's like 20% growth or something like that in the space of a year. So well done to you, mate. You're probably watching this video, so congratulations. But North Geelong and Thompson are no different. There's even properties going in the wrong pockets of both of these suburbs that are going for ridiculous amounts of money. Make sure you're in the right pockets. Don't do it yourself if you do not know what you're doing, because again, the better pockets are going to do much better over the long term in these areas. Newcastle. Again, I mentioned this previously, incredibly low stock levels in key suburbs, particularly wards 1 and 2. Ward 1 is pretty much your city beaches region. Sorry, no, Ward 1, pardon me, I got that mixed up. Ward 1 is your city to inner west region. Ward 2 is your city beaches region. You can search it up and have a look if you want to know where it is. There's a lot of renovations, redevelopment, and larger homes being developed, and this is even in your smaller cottage-style suburbs. I've seen heaps of knockdown rebuilds. Some of them bought for, a flat million, resold for 2.2 million in some suburbs. I'm sure you probably spend 600,000 doing it, but that's still quite a good profit. Developers largely looking at certain markets, especially from the Sydney's North Shore. There's a lot of North Shore developers that I know of, and a lot that I know from Northern Sydney. It might be even Hornsby, Northern Beaches, that are starting to buy these blocks up, whether it's existing homes, owner builders and that are going to develop all of these. So it's further going to gentrify these suburbs. Demand is largely pushing a well-located, high-quality and already strong suburbs with strong demographics. So again, where the money is, there's more money going into these areas. Yes, the other markets are picking up, but they're not picking up fundamentally as strongly and with good long-term fundamentals as much as some of these suburbs. Now, there's some very strong suburbs, particularly in Mayfield and Mayfield East. So the pockets that I like to buy in, particularly in these suburbs, there's been some ridiculous sales. I had a very good friend of mine who bought for $886,000 in one of these suburbs literally last year. And there was actually a 4-bedder, so that's even more. There was a 3-bedder down the road that nearly sold for $1.1 million the other day. That I consider to be a significantly worse house than this one. So, if you I think online it says, you got that's $1,050,000 or something. So it's around $200,000 in a year or so. But like for him, I think if you went to a few banks, you'd probably get it valued above 1.1. That recent sale being a 3-bedder will make a 4-bedder look even better. Furthermore, in Newcastle, there's some possible record-breaking sales listed in some suburbs. So it's wards 1 and 2 particularly. There's one in Tyers Hill that I think may break the suburb record. It's a very, very good home. The right street, right location, that will probably break the record of the suburb. There's some also that I think in around Cooks Hill and Newcastle East that may possibly. There's one that's actually off market that is strictly owned by a very high-profile person that may also break a suburb record there as well. So that's what's kind of going on. That market is not stabilizing anymore. I haven't done my property clock update for the last quarter yet, but I will have that very soon. And yeah, that will, definitely change the market significantly. My October update, that it's not going to be it's going to be past the 6 o'clock mark. I'll tell you right now, it's in the Newcastle market, 100%. The market shifted, some very expensive prices at the moment, and that policy is only going to make it worse. So that's what's going on in the Newcastle market at the moment. Let's get into the Central Coast. So what's going on the Central Coast is there's increasing demand, particularly strong demand in properties close to lifestyle and transport regions. And because of that, there's very low stock in many existing estates. So in the Central Coast, there's a few key regions, and go through my Central Coast episodes if you want more detail about this. But I'm telling you right now that the key regions of the area, there's quite a lot of demand. The numbers are up quite significantly. It's not as easy as it was 6 months ago. Listing prices were probably 5% less. They're above 5% to what they were 6 months ago. So to give you an idea, the Central Coast is already going up. That 5% deposit scheme is going to already affect it worse. The transport-orientated plan's another thing on the fire. Low to medium density housing code is also another one that's actually affecting this area quite a bit. There's demand from pretty much everyone in these areas as well. Developers, first-home buyers, investors, upgraders, flippers, wealthy investors or wealthy just land bankers or holiday home buyers. They're all buying here still as well. Particularly strong sales in Long Jetty, East Gosford and Springfield. Surrounding suburbs of this are doing quite well as well, mind you, and they will continue to do so. Long Jetty, mind you, I was still seeing stuff 6 months ago there for, a touch over a flat $1 million, like that were in the right streets and right locations. Now they're like $1.2 million. It's just what happens with the right stock in the right locations. Like I say this to people all the time. Don't piss around if you're, if you generally are able to get in the market. You just need to get and buy as soon as possible and just see what happens. You can't dictate what is going to happen in the future. You don't know that. You can only do not with what is going to be. That's just the way it kind of works. There's also at the moment some significant waterfront estates for sale. So particularly around Brisbane water, there's some quite expensive ones on the market. There's quite a few about to list. People know that the market's going up. There's a lot of demand. They know immigration's strong as well. So people aren't stupid. People who have expensive estates generally don't sell when the market's down. You'd be very lucky to pick up a good one when the market's down. They generally sell when the market is expensive, because if there are no occupy and there's no capital gains tax or any taxes on a family home, they're just going to wait till the market moves back up and get the right price of their property. So that's what's happening in the Central Coast. Market's already shifting. It has already shifted a little bit. A lot more to come. As of October, that will shift even more, no doubt. All right, Sydney. So demand's increasing in certain locations. Others are a little bit flat otherwise. So your mid-Sydney is a little bit flat at the moment, to be transparent. Like, there is sales, but it's a little bit flat. There's particularly strong demand amongst development sites along train lines. So give you an example. I've been to a few of the inner west suburbs. Properties on land, anything above 400 metres squared, anywhere near a train line is selling for multi-million dollars worth of money. It's just developer against developer. I mean, you've got syndicate versus syndicate. You've even got government agencies and stuff like that buying these, to give you an idea. It's not your average buyer. That's who's buying them. Demand is also very strong in outer future city locations. So again, look at the 6 cities data and the 6 cities actual PDF and report. If you look at the CBD centres of Parramatta, even the Campbelltown one, even the Penrith one, there's developers going crazy in anything close to these ones. Rents are increasing significantly, particularly along train lines, close to major facilities and such as universities, hospitals, and those other things. Inner West, anywhere like that, in Lower North Shore, Inner East of Sydney, anywhere that's a good area to buy, that's somewhere near a hospital or university or anything like that. Good luck getting a place to rent for a decent amount of money. I had a friend who used to lease a property with 2 others in Ashfield. So it's in the inner west of Sydney. It's not even like a wealthy inner west suburb. I'd call it like a middle class inner west suburb. They used to pay us something like $800 and something a week. And now for everyone elsewhere, that's a cheap price for Sydney. Their rent went up to $1,080 a week for a 3-bedroom unit literally in Ashfield. And it wasn't even next to the station. It was probably a good 10-minute walk from the station. So that's what's happening. It's going to continue to happen. Lately as well, there's been particularly strong sales in North Sydney, Chatswood, Mossman, and Little Bay. Again, as I said, I've said this plenty of times, search up my Sydney videos. In Sydney, the ones that generally lead the charge are the fundamentally strong suburbs. It's your generally wealthy Lower North Shore. That's North Sydney, Chatswood and Mossman are all a part of that, and your eastern suburbs. So Little Bay's in the lower east, but it's still a part of the eastern suburbs peninsula. I'll say as well, there's some quite strong ones in the inner west as well, particularly the ones along those areas I'm talking about. So yeah, you're going to see this continue. They're leading the charge. Sydney market's turning again, as it always does over time. There's also expensive estates all over Sydney listed for early spring. So it's not only, so this is a crazy thing about Sydney. I'm seeing houses even out west sell for like $5-6 million. I'm seeing them in like Kellyville. I even saw one in the Camden region, and it was on a big block, don't get me wrong, sold for like $7 million the other day. So there's money floating around everywhere here. It's not the same as all other markets. It's a lot of international, very wealthy money flowing here, very wealthy families continuing to buy this, syndicates buying these assets and all that kind of thing too. That's Sydney anyway, unique market, but that's what's going on here. Wollongong, it's a fairly flat market at the moment. It's slightly starting to increase. Well-priced suburbs are particularly strong in demand, and there's limited available stock for sale, particularly detached houses. So well-priced stock. So, for example, the inner northern suburbs of Wollongong, flat as well, but well-priced stock doing well. Particularly the suburbs down south are doing quite well. So I'll get into that in a second. There's a lot of large-scale development sites, particularly around the CBD, between the station and the main beach there, and North Gong Beach. bad time to buy a townhouse or apartment there. They're not going to do much. They're bloody expensive as well, and there's just so much of it going on. Just walk from the lighthouse to North Gong, and then try to make your way to the station. If you don't believe me, you'll see how many new units are going up. It is like a city itself now. It's crazy. If you buy a detached house there, though, a developer's going to love you, and the gross realisation value of the land will be insane. So I will say that. Strong sales, as I said previously, are coming in towards particularly South Wollongong and Shell Harbour oceanfront suburbs. So very strong sales in Port Kembla, very strong in Warilla, Barak Heights, those sorts of suburbs. Some very, very good sales there, big, expensive ones as well, and median sales going up quite high. There's actually some very good opportunity, though, in your blue chip northern suburbs. I'm not talking about your most expensive ones. I mean, probably from about Mount Ousley right up to Woonona. A lot of those are very flat at the moment. You're still picking up in the low millions. Those are very well located properties, very good long-term prospects. That's where I'm targeting at the moment for any clients who want to buy that. That's a good area to buy, great livability. That's where you want to buy if you're buying in Wollongong at the moment. All right, I'm getting into one that I don't talk about too often, and that is Hobart. Now, Hobart's at the moment, it's a fairly flat market. Maybe about a year or so ago, I'd say it was in its downturn. It's definitely leveled out now. The rental market was quite stable as well, but it's starting to shift again. Lower vacancy rates are ahead. The reason for that is because stock levels have leveled out, and it's not many investors are targeting it at the moment. Some have sold. It's not due to taxes or anything. It's just they move their money a lot of the time, a lot of the investors, and it's a lot of owner occupiers buying it. So, I mean, what's happening there is there's just not enough stock for the amount of the stock levels are way too low in the right suburbs for the amount of people needing to rent a home. So it's quite sad, but it is happening, and it's a small city too. There are some solid sales though going around in some main suburbs. So some larger estates in the city, especially South Hobart and Sandy Bay. There's some quite expensive ones on the market at the moment. Now, whether they get what they want for it or not, I don't know, but I think you'll see they'll probably get for around the asking price, maybe slightly more, because it is shifting. To be honest, around the city, it's actually a good opportunity for low-risk investments. Now, I don't think it'll do much in the next year or two. It might pick up a little bit because of the policies in the market, but it's a market where you know you're not going to really lose too much money because it's just stabilizing. It might take a few years for it to pick up, but you're holding it for 10 plus. I mean, you're probably going to do fairly well because it's already leveled out. So once it's had its downturn, it's leveled out for a little while. It's quite I'd say risk off kind of market to buy in, because you know it's not going to do, it can't really go down too much more. Yeah, it can stabilize, but its next move is definitely up. It's just how much time it takes to go up. The other thing about it is it's still possible to find deals sub 650 grand. My favorite would still be Geelong for that market, for that kind of price. But if you wanted to go elsewhere, Hobart, you can still buy for it. It just won't realise as quickly because it's at a different point in its market cycle. But you can still pick it up there. So, I mean, beautiful city. I don't think you're going wrong buying here. You'll do fairly well still buying here. So that's Hobart there as well. Let's get into Brisbane. Now, Brisbane's further on the property clock. There's still some good opportunity here, so I'm still going to mention it. Brisbane at the moment, there's some very strong results in the north and east. And again, I've said this to people multiple times, that's your best location to buy because it's got the most to go. Strong demand to larger family homes in quiet streets. A good family home in a good street is selling for quite a bit of money, particularly if it's in the right location, in known school zones and proximity to the CBD. Vacancy rates again are starting to fall, and I don't need to go over that. I've been discussing this for months, that it will shift again and go back down, and it's exactly what's happening because I knew where immigration and stock levels were going in terms of building. There's a very strong job market, particularly in inner suburbs. All the jobs are in about a 10K ring around the CBD in Brisbane. It's not like other cities. That's going to is continuing to happen, and that's what's going on. Some very strong sales like in Coorparoo, Ashgrove and Camp Hill. Again, these are all fundamentally strong suburbs. All of these suburbs, mind you, aren't ones I'd be buying in at the moment because their prices, they're going to continue to go up, but not as much as some suburbs nearby, which is what I'm talking about. There's some good opportunities in spillover suburbs that are nearby. For everyone's information, one suburb I think that it has great opportunity and is so underpriced is Hurston. It's basically the Queensland health suburb of Brisbane. I mean, it's got everything you need there. It's very well located. Like most of it doesn't flood. It's on kind of a little bit of a Hurston hill. So it's quite a good area to buy. That's a good example. Inner north, inner east. Inner north, you can probably include the inner city in some ways as well. But yeah, these areas are the ones you want to buy. Excellent opportunities here. That's Brisbane. Finally, let's get into Perth. Now, Perth is approaching its winner's curse phase of the cycle, so be wary of this. There's continuing strong demand here. I mean, Perth hasn't really, you could argue demand's shifted a little bit. It has calmed down in some areas, but not all, but it's still fairly strong in saying that. 5% deposit scheme will affect some markets, many of them, to be honest. A lot of the strongest sales in the northern suburbs, particularly close to the job hubs. Some outer exurbs are starting to show signs of slowing down. Simply, they're too expensive for what you buy. People rather live in existing estates than new estates if the prices hit a similar mark. So that's what's kind of happening. The economy of WA is very strong. The resources is still going ballistic. No doubt about that. There's some very strong sales lately in Duncraig, Hillary's and Rivervale. I've mentioned this previously. Suburbs in the inner north and very inner south of Perth and right up to the Joondalup northern suburbs are generally your best ones to buy, and they have the best long-term fundamentals. They have a lot of long-term residents, and Perth is renowned for having a number of suburbs that are full of FIFO workers, which aren't good long-term, because when the market goes out, they struggle. Your longer-term suburbs are pretty much in all locations like this. Your best opportunity again in the future is surrounding Joondalup suburbs. Some of them still have a bit to go. So that's going to help you. And with those, also just with the income in these suburbs, long-term residents, and some of these things that are coming in the market, like the 5% scheme, they are going to affect some of these suburbs even more. So, I mean, that's going to continue. That's your best area to buy in Perth. Without question, I mean, that's what we really want to do when we're looking at that market.